The day Malik started his new job felt like any other first day. He woke up early, dressed carefully, and took a deep breath before stepping out. Malik wasn't just starting any job. He was joining a big company that many people admired. The kind of place where people dreamed of working. But for Malik, this wasn't about dreams or fame. It was about proving something to himself. Malik was a quiet man. He didn't like to make noise or attract attention. He was polite, respectful, and did his work well. From the outside, he looked like any other employee who had just joined. But inside, Malik carried a secret that made this job very different from what others would think. The company he joined was owned by a well-known CEO, a man famous for his strict but fair leadership. But nobody at the company knew that Malik was actually the CEO's son. Malik had chosen to keep this hidden because he wanted to experience the company the way any ordinary employee would. He didn't want special treatment. He wanted to see the real world of work, where hard work and respect mattered more than names and connections. On Malik's first day, he arrived at the office early. The building was tall and shiny, filled with people rushing around, typing on keyboards, making calls, and talking in groups. Everything looked busy and important. Malik felt a little nervous but also ready. He knew he had a lot to learn. His new manager, who was supposed to guide him, wasn't there right away. Malik met a few other people who were friendly enough, but he noticed that most people kept to themselves. Some smiled politely, while others didn't seem interested in talking much. Malik felt a little lonely, but he reminded himself that this was normal when you start somewhere new. After a while, the manager finally came in. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and a quick voice. His name was Brad. Right from the start, Brad didn't seem very welcoming. He looked at Malik with a hard gaze and barely said hello. Instead, he jumped straight into talking about work. Malik tried to listen carefully, but Brad's tone made it clear that he didn't think Malik belonged. When Malik asked questions or tried to explain his ideas, Brad would cut him off or dismiss what he said. It felt like Brad expected Malik to fail. This made Malik uncomfortable, but he stayed calm. As the days went on, Malik noticed something strange. Brad treated him differently from the others. When other employees asked for help, Brad would respond kindly or offer advice. But when Malik asked for the same help, Brad would ignore him or give short answers. It was as if Malik was invisible or less important. Malik wasn't sure why Brad acted this way. Maybe it was because Malik was new, or maybe Brad didn't like him for some reason. But Malik didn't want to jump to conclusions. Instead, he focused on his work. He stayed late to finish tasks, asked thoughtful questions, and tried to show he was serious. Even though Malik worked hard, Brad found small mistakes to criticize. Sometimes Brad said things like, "You need to be more careful," or "That's not how we do it here." Malik took these comments quietly, not wanting to argue. He thought if he proved himself through his work, things might get better. But the truth was, Brad's attitude didn't change. If anything, it got worse. Other employees started noticing how Brad treated Malik. Some felt sorry for him, but they didn't say much because Brad was a powerful manager and could make life difficult for anyone who spoke up. Malik felt stuck. He wanted to do well, but the manager made it hard. He remembered what his father, the CEO, once told him. Sometimes the biggest test is how you handle people who don't believe in you. Malik kept these words close to his heart. One afternoon, Malik was sitting at his desk when Brad walked by and muttered something under his breath. Malik couldn't hear it clearly, but he caught the tone. It wasn't kind. Instead of reacting, Malik took a deep breath and focused on his screen. He reminded himself that this was just part of the journey. That day, Malik made a decision. He would work harder, not just to prove Brad wrong, but to prove to himself that he belonged. He didn't need anyone's approval except his own. And no matter how tough things got, he would not let negativity stop him. Malik also started writing down everything that happened, the good days and the bad. He thought it might be useful someday, not because he wanted to complain, but because he wanted to understand the truth clearly. Keeping a record helped him feel stronger. The other employees began to warm up to Malik little by little. Some admired his patience and quiet strength. They could see that even when things were tough, Malik didn't lose his kindness or respect. This made some people curious about him, though no one guessed his real connection to the company's top boss. Malik's first week ended with mixed feelings. He was tired but determined. He knew the path ahead would not be easy, but deep inside he also felt something else, hope. Hope that if he stayed true to himself, things might change for the better. As Malik left the office that Friday evening, he looked back at the tall building. It looked less intimidating now. He whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." Malik's second week at the company started much like the first. He arrived early, ready to face whatever challenges the day would bring. But one thing was clear. His manager, Brad, wasn't going to make things easy. Brad had a way of making everyone feel small, especially those he didn't seem to like. Brad was a man who liked control. He talked fast, expected quick results, and didn't tolerate mistakes. But with Malik, his behavior wasn't just about work. It felt personal. Every time Malik suggested an idea or asked for a bit of guidance, Brad would respond with a cold look or a quick dismissal. Sometimes he even rolled his eyes, the other employees noticed. Some whispered quietly among themselves, sharing stories about Brad's difficult nature. But no one spoke up openly. They had seen what happened to people who tried to challenge him. Being on Brad's bad side could mean a lot of problems. Malik felt the weight of those silent stares and whispered conversations. He wondered if it was because of the color of his skin, or maybe because he came from a different background. It was hard to say for sure. But what he did know was that Brad's attitude made him question things he had never thought about before. One morning, Malik arrived to find Brad already at his desk, staring at his computer screen with a frown. Without looking up, Brad said, "I don't think you're ready for the project I gave you. Maybe you should focus on simpler tasks." Malik blinked, surprised. The project wasn't easy, but it wasn't impossible either. He had spent extra hours the night before studying everything he could find. Still, Brad's words made him feel like all that effort meant nothing. Malik took a moment, then calmly said, "I want to try. Brad, I believe I can do this if you give me the chance." Brad looked up, eyes narrowing. "Look, it's not about what you want. It's about results. If you don't deliver, you'll just be wasting everyone's time." The tone was harsh. Malik wanted to say more to explain himself, but he held back. He had learned that arguing with Brad only made things worse. Instead, he nodded and said, "Okay, I'll do my best." As the day went on, Malik noticed Brad's behavior didn't improve. In meetings, Brad interrupted Malik before he could finish speaking. When Malik tried to answer questions, Brad would cut him off or speak over him. It felt like Brad was trying to make Malik feel invisible. Despite everything, Malik kept his head down and worked harder. He stayed late, asked thoughtful questions to colleagues, and tried to learn as much as possible. Some co-workers quietly admired his dedication and patience. They respected how he didn't lose his cool, even when treated unfairly. One afternoon, Malik was asked to attend a team lunch. It was meant to be a casual gathering, a chance for co-workers to bond. Malik was hopeful it might help him fit in better. But during the lunch, things didn't go as he expected. Brad dominated the conversation, making jokes at Malik's expense. Some were small comments about Malik's background, others about his way of speaking. The room was quiet, uncomfortable, but no one said anything. Malik smiled politely, not wanting to create a scene. Inside, he felt hurt but refused to show it. He reminded himself that this was just another test of his strength. After lunch, Malik returned to his desk and took a deep breath. He thought about leaving, about giving up, but something inside him wouldn't let him. He remembered why he was there, to learn, to grow, and to show that he was more than what others thought. As days passed, Malik began to notice patterns in Brad's behavior. Brad seemed especially hard on him whenever others were watching. But when they were alone, Brad was slightly less harsh, almost like he was testing Malik, trying to see how much he could handle. Malik understood something important. Brad's cruelty wasn't just about the work. It was about power. Brad wanted to feel strong by making others feel weak, but Malik wasn't going to give him that satisfaction. One evening, Malik stayed late working on the project Brad had doubted. He carefully checked every detail, making sure nothing was missed. It was tiring work, but Malik felt proud of what he was doing. Before leaving, Malik sent the project to Brad with a short message. "Please review when you have time." The next morning, Malik was surprised to see Brad's reply. It was brief but positive. Brad wrote, "Good job. This is better than I expected." Malik felt a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could improve if he kept working hard. At the same time, Malik realized he couldn't do this alone. He needed allies, so he started reaching out to coworkers, asking for advice and building quiet friendships. Slowly, people began to see Malik not just as the new employee, but as someone reliable and smart. One of the coworkers, a woman who had been with the company for years, shared a piece of advice. She told Malik, "Sometimes the hardest part isn't the work itself. It's dealing with people who don't want to see you succeed. But you have to keep your head up and let your work speak for itself." Malik thanked her. Her words gave him strength to keep going. As the weeks went by, Malik's efforts did not go unnoticed by everyone. Some in the higher management quietly observed his progress, but Brad remained unaware of Malik's true identity. For him, Malik was just another employee to control. Malik kept his secret close. He didn't want anyone to know he was the CEO's son. He wanted to be treated like everyone else, judged on his work, not his name. But deep down, Malik wondered how much longer he could stay quiet. He wanted to believe that fairness would win out, but he also knew that sometimes change needed to come from the top. Every day, Malik faced Brad's harsh words and actions with quiet strength. He showed patience when others might have lost their temper. And even when it was hard, Malik found ways to keep his hope alive. One day, as Malik was leaving the office late, he looked up at the tall building once again. The glass windows reflected the fading sunlight, shining bright like the future Malik hoped for. He whispered to himself, "I'm not just here to work. I'm here to change things. One day they'll see who I really am." And with that thought, Malik stepped forward, ready for whatever the next day would bring. Malik was starting to settle into his role, but every day brought new challenges. The hardest part was dealing with Brad, his manager. Brad had a sharp tongue and a quick temper, especially when it came to Malik. No matter how well Malik worked, Brad seemed determined to find fault. Sometimes it felt like nothing Malik did was ever good enough. One morning, Malik arrived early, ready to face the day. He was feeling more confident after completing a big project the week before, one that had surprised even Brad. But as soon as Brad saw him, his expression hardened. "Sit down," Brad said without any greeting. "I need to go over your work again." Malik took a deep breath and followed him into the small conference room. Brad pulled out the project report and started pointing out every tiny mistake, some of which Malik knew weren't really mistakes but just Brad being difficult. "You should have caught this," Brad said sharply, tapping the paper. "You're not paying attention." Malik felt a sting, but he stayed calm. "I reviewed everything carefully and I can fix those points right away." Brad shook his head. "That's not good enough. You need to be perfect." Malik nodded quietly, knowing arguing would only make things worse. But inside he felt frustrated. He was doing his best. Why couldn't Brad see that? After the meeting, Malik returned to his desk, feeling the weight of Brad's criticism. He thought about his father, the CEO, and the lesson he had shared. Sometimes, the hardest part of life is staying patient when others don't believe in you. Malik decided he wouldn't let Brad's harsh words break his spirit. Instead, he worked harder, checking every detail twice, asking for help when he needed it, and staying focused. But Brad's attitude didn't improve. If anything, it became worse. During team meetings, Brad would interrupt Malik before he finished speaking. He often ignored Malik's ideas or dismissed them with a quick wave of his hand. One day, Malik presented a suggestion to improve the team's workflow. He explained his idea clearly and with confidence. But Brad cut him off, saying, "We don't have time for this kind of thinking right now." Some team members looked surprised. Malik's idea made sense and they could see the benefits, but no one spoke up to support him. The room felt tense and uncomfortable. Malik swallowed the disappointment and nodded. He kept working, hoping that someday people would see his true value. At the same time, Malik noticed that Brad wasn't always this harsh with everyone. Some employees got encouragement and praise even when they made mistakes. It made Malik wonder if Brad's behavior toward him was about more than just work. One afternoon, Malik overheard a conversation between two coworkers in the break room. They were talking quietly about how Brad seemed to treat some people unfairly, especially those from different backgrounds. Malik didn't want to believe it at first, but the more he thought about it, the more it made sense. He felt a quiet sadness but refused to let it define him. Instead, Malik focused on building relationships with his coworkers. He found a few people who treated him with kindness and respect. They shared stories about their own struggles and offered advice on how to navigate the workplace. One colleague, an older employee who had been at the company for years, told Malik, "Sometimes you have to be your own biggest supporter. Don't wait for others to believe in you. Believe in yourself first." Those words stayed with Malik. They gave him strength when things felt hardest. Even though Brad was difficult, Malik found small moments of kindness elsewhere. A coworker would bring him coffee when they noticed he was working late. Another would share helpful tips about the company culture. These small acts reminded Malik that not everyone was like Brad. There were people who cared and wanted to see him succeed. One day, Malik received an email inviting him to join a diversity and inclusion group at the company. The group's goal was to make the workplace fairer and more welcoming for everyone. Malik hesitated at first. He wasn't sure if he wanted to get involved, but then he thought about Brad's behavior and the quiet whispers he had heard. Maybe this was a chance to help change things from the inside. He accepted the invitation and attended his first meeting. It was a small group, but they were passionate about making a difference. Malik listened carefully and shared some of his experiences. The group welcomed him warmly and encouraged him to speak up. For the first time, Malik felt like he had a voice. As Malik continued his work and his involvement with the group, he realized that change wouldn't happen overnight. But every small step mattered. He also understood that his journey was about more than just proving himself to Brad. It was about standing up for fairness and respect, not just for himself but for everyone who faced unfair treatment. Malik kept his secret, that he was the CEO's son, close to his heart. He didn't want anyone to think he was getting special treatment. He wanted to earn his place honestly, through hard work and patience. And even though Brad's harsh words and actions made each day challenging, Malik never lost sight of his goals. One evening, as Malik was leaving the office, he paused to look up at the tall building. The lights inside shone brightly like stars guiding him forward. He smiled softly and whispered, "I will keep going. I will not let anyone dim my light." With that, Malik walked out into the night, ready to face whatever came next. Malik's time at the company was becoming harder each day. The challenges weren't just about the work anymore. They were about how Brad, his manager, treated him. It was more than just being tough or demanding. It felt personal and unfair. Malik began to realize that Brad wasn't just a strict boss. He was someone who used his power to put others down. One morning, Malik walked into the office feeling hopeful. He had spent extra hours the night before preparing for a team meeting. He had ideas, solutions, and a clear plan to help the group succeed. Malik thought that maybe, just maybe, Brad would see his efforts this time. But as soon as the meeting started, Malik's hopes were crushed. Brad barely let him speak. Whenever Malik opened his mouth, Brad interrupted with sharp comments or dismissive gestures. "That's not the right way to think," Brad said once, cutting Malik off in front of the whole team. Malik swallowed his frustration. He looked around the room and saw others glancing nervously, some avoiding eye contact. The atmosphere was tense. No one wanted to upset Brad, but no one was defending Malik either. After the meeting, Malik quietly packed his things. He wanted to get back to work and prove his ideas were worth something, even if Brad wouldn't listen. Back at his desk, Malik tried to focus. He reviewed the project details and checked every number carefully. He wanted to make sure his work was perfect, but the weight of Brad's words stayed with him. It was hard to concentrate when someone made you feel like you didn't belong. Days went by and the situation didn't improve. Brad continued to criticize Malik in front of others, using harsh words that felt like insults. Sometimes Brad even made jokes that felt unfair, like mocking Malik's way of speaking or his background. The jokes weren't loud, but they were clear enough for Malik to hear. And they hurt. Malik knew that no one else in the office would say anything. People were afraid of Brad's temper and power. But inside, Malik felt something growing, a quiet strength. He realized he couldn't change Brad, but he could control how he reacted. Instead of fighting back with anger, Malik stayed calm. He reminded himself that Brad's words didn't define him. He was more than a manager's criticism or someone's careless joke. Malik also started writing down everything that happened. Each insult, each unfair comment, and every time Brad treated him differently from others. It wasn't just for himself. It was a way to keep track of the truth. Malik wanted to be ready in case he needed to explain what was really happening. One day, Malik's patience was tested even more. During a group discussion, Brad suddenly accused Malik of not understanding the company's values. "Maybe this isn't the right place for you," Brad said, cold and sharp. The room went silent. Malik felt the eyes of his co-workers on him, some sympathetic, some unsure. Malik took a deep breath. Instead of reacting with anger or sadness, he stood tall. "I want to learn and grow," Malik said clearly. "I'm here to do my best." Brad didn't respond. He just looked away as if Malik's words didn't matter. But something had changed in that moment. Malik's courage had shown. Some co-workers began to quietly respect him more. They saw that Malik wasn't going to back down, even when faced with unfair treatment. Outside of work, Malik found support in a few trusted colleagues. They shared their own stories about challenges and unfair bosses. Hearing their experiences helped Malik feel less alone. One day, a co-worker told Malik, "Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we don't see. But keep going. Your strength will inspire others." Those words stuck with Malik. They reminded him that even if the fight was difficult, he wasn't fighting just for himself. He was fighting for fairness and respect, for everyone who faced similar struggles. Malik also became more involved with the company's diversity and inclusion group. At meetings, he shared what he was going through and listened to others' experiences. The group gave him hope that things could change, not just for him, but for the whole company. Despite the difficulties, Malik kept working hard. He stayed late, double-checked his projects, and looked for ways to improve. He didn't want to be seen as someone who complained or made excuses. He wanted his work to speak louder than Brad's harsh words. Sometimes, Malik caught Brad watching him with a strange look, almost like Brad was surprised that Malik was still standing strong. One afternoon, Malik was working quietly when Brad approached his desk. Malik's heart raced. Was Brad going to say something harsh again? Or was this a moment of change? Brad looked at the papers Malik had been working on and nodded slowly. "This is good," he said quietly. "Better than before." Malik was surprised but didn't say anything. He just smiled inside, knowing that his hard work was starting to show. Even with small moments like this, Malik knew the road ahead would still be tough. Brad hadn't changed completely, and there were still days when Malik felt the sting of unfair treatment. But Malik had learned something important. Strength wasn't about fighting back with anger or hatred. It was about staying true to yourself, keeping your head high and never giving up. One evening, as Malik left the office, the sun was setting behind the tall building. The sky was painted with colors of orange and pink, beautiful and calm. Malik looked up and thought about his journey so far. The challenges, the quiet victories, the moments of doubt, and the times he found strength. He whispered to himself, "I will keep going. No matter what, I will not let anyone break me." And with that, Malik walked forward, ready for whatever the next day would bring. Malik's days at the office were filled with hard work and quiet determination. Every morning he arrived early and stayed late, focused on improving himself and the projects he was given. Despite the challenges with Brad, Malik refused to let the negativity take away his hope. One day, a big opportunity came his way. The company was launching a new project, something important that could change the way the business worked. Malik was asked to be part of the team. It was a chance to show what he could do on a bigger stage. Malik felt excited but also nervous. He knew this was a moment that could define his future at the company. He wanted to prove that he deserved to be there, not because of his family but because of his own skills and hard work. The first few meetings were intense. The team was full of experienced people, each with strong opinions. Malik listened carefully, took notes, and waited for the right moment to share his ideas. Brad was there too, and Malik could tell he was watching him closely. Every time Malik spoke, Brad's eyes narrowed as if waiting to find a mistake, but Malik stayed calm. He focused on making his points clear and simple. He didn't try to impress with big words or complicated ideas. Instead, he spoke honestly, sharing practical solutions that could help the project succeed. Some team members started to notice Malik's thoughtful approach. They asked questions, gave him nods of approval, and even smiled at some of his suggestions. It was a small victory, but for Malik, it meant the world. As the project moved forward, Malik worked harder than ever. He stayed up late researching, preparing presentations, and making sure every detail was perfect. But not everyone was happy. Brad's attitude grew colder. Behind closed doors, he complained to other managers about Malik, saying he wasn't ready for such responsibility. Malik heard about this from a coworker and felt a mix of emotions: frustration, sadness, but also determination. He knew Brad was threatened by his progress. But Malik didn't want to fight with words or gossip. He wanted to keep proving himself through action. One afternoon during a team meeting, Brad openly criticized Malik's work in front of everyone. His tone was harsh and unfair, pointing out minor issues as if they were major failures. Malik felt the eyes of the room on him. The silence was heavy, but instead of feeling defeated, Malik took a deep breath and calmly said, "Thank you for your feedback. I will review these points and improve." His calm response surprised some people. It showed strength and professionalism, even when faced with unfair criticism. After the meeting, a few team members came to Malik privately. They told him they respected how he handled the situation. Some even shared their own stories of difficult managers and how they had learned to stay strong. Malik realized he wasn't alone. Others were facing similar struggles, and together they could support each other. Around this time, Malik's involvement with the company's diversity group became more important. The group worked on making the workplace more inclusive and fair. Malik shared his experiences and listened to others, feeling a sense of community. One meeting, Malik suggested organizing workshops to help managers understand how to support all employees better. The group loved the idea and decided to make it happen. Malik was proud to be part of something bigger than himself. As the project deadline approached, Malik worked day and night. He coordinated with team members, fixed problems, and prepared the final presentation. On the day of the presentation, Malik stood in front of the company's leadership team. His heart was pounding, but his voice was steady. He explained the project clearly, highlighting how it could help the company grow. After he finished, there was a moment of silence. Then the room broke into applause. Leaders asked questions and Malik answered confidently. Even Brad looked surprised. For the first time, he didn't say anything negative. Later that day, Malik received a private message from one of the senior managers. It said, "Great work today. You handled everything very professionally." Malik smiled, feeling a warmth inside. His hard work was finally being recognized. But even with this success, Malik kept his secret close. No one knew he was the CEO's son. He didn't want to use his family name to get ahead. He wanted to earn respect on his own. One evening, Malik was leaving the office when his phone rang. It was his father. "How are things going?" his father asked. Malik took a deep breath and said, "It's tough, but I'm learning. I want to keep working hard and prove myself." His father was silent for a moment, then said, "I'm proud of you. Keep being patient and strong. You're doing the right thing." Malik felt encouraged. Hearing those words from his father gave him new energy. As Malik walked home that night, he thought about everything he had been through, the insults, the struggles, the quiet victories. He realized that success wasn't just about finishing projects or getting praise. It was about staying true to himself, even when no one was watching. And most of all, it was about never giving up. Malik looked up at the stars shining above. The sky was clear and full of hope. He whispered, "This is just the beginning." Malik's journey was far from easy, but with every challenge he grew stronger. The recent success with the project gave him confidence, yet he knew the real test was still ahead. It wasn't just about doing good work. It was about changing how people saw him. At the office, things were slowly shifting. Some colleagues began to treat Malik with more respect. But Brad's cold attitude remained a constant cloud hanging over him. Malik wondered if Brad would ever change. One afternoon, Malik was called into a meeting with the human resources team. He felt a mix of nerves and curiosity. The HR manager greeted him warmly and said, "We've heard about your contributions to the recent project. It's impressive work." Malik smiled politely, but the conversation soon took a serious turn. "We're aware of some concerns about how you've been treated by your manager," the HR manager continued. "We want to make sure you feel supported here." Malik was surprised but relieved. He quietly shared some of the experiences he'd written down, the harsh words, the unfair criticism, and the uncomfortable moments with Brad. The HR team listened carefully, nodding. They assured Malik that they would look into the situation and that the company was committed to a respectful workplace for everyone. After the meeting, Malik felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in months. It wasn't a solution yet, but it was a start. For the first time, Malik knew the company was aware of what he was going through. Meanwhile, Malik kept working with the diversity group. Together, they organized workshops about respect, inclusion, and understanding differences. Malik spoke honestly during these sessions, sharing his story and encouraging others to speak up. The workshops were a hit. People began to open their eyes to the importance of kindness and fairness in the workplace. Slowly, Malik noticed small changes around him. Some managers started being more thoughtful, and employees felt more comfortable sharing their ideas. One day, Malik received an invitation to a lunch with some senior leaders, including his father's close associates. Malik was nervous but also excited. He saw this as a chance to learn more about the company from a different perspective. During the lunch, Malik listened carefully as the leaders talked about the company's future and the importance of strong teams. Malik asked questions and shared his thoughts. His honesty and humility impressed the group. After the lunch, one of the leaders pulled Malik aside and said, "You have something special. Keep believing in yourself and your work." Malik left feeling inspired. He realized that leadership wasn't just about giving orders. It was about listening, learning, and growing. Back at work, Brad's attitude started to change in subtle ways. He stopped making rude jokes and didn't interrupt Malik as often during meetings. It wasn't a complete transformation, but it was progress. One afternoon, Malik overheard Brad talking quietly with another manager. Brad said, "I didn't think Malik had it in him, but he's proving me wrong." Malik felt a small smile form on his lips. Maybe Brad was beginning to see him in a new light. As weeks passed, Malik balanced his work, the diversity group, and his personal growth. He also made time for self-care, realizing that taking care of his mind and body was important to stay strong. Some evenings, Malik would sit by the window, watching the city lights flicker as he thought about his journey. He thought about the times he wanted to give up but didn't, the times he felt invisible but chose to shine quietly. One night, Malik's father invited him to dinner. They talked about the company, life, and dreams. Malik felt a deep connection and support from his father, something he needed more than ever. His father said, "Remember, strength isn't about fighting with others. It's about knowing who you are and what you stand for." Malik nodded, feeling those words settle deep inside him. The days went by, and Malik kept pushing forward. He knew challenges would come, but he also knew he had the courage to face them. One morning, as Malik entered the office, he noticed something different. There was a new energy in the air, a sense of respect and teamwork that hadn't been there before. Malik smiled quietly, feeling proud. He understood that change was slow, but with patience and heart, it was possible. He thought about the road ahead and whispered to himself, "I'm ready for what's next." Malik's journey was reaching a new phase. He had been through a lot, hard work, unfair treatment, and moments of doubt. But now something was starting to change. The office atmosphere was shifting slowly, and Malik felt a sense of hope that had been missing for a long time. One morning, Malik arrived at work and noticed that the team was more connected. People were talking more openly, sharing ideas and helping each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was a big difference from the tense and quiet days he had experienced before. Malik's manager, Brad, had softened a little. He still expected a lot, but he no longer shouted or insulted Malik. Instead, he began to give clearer instructions and even acknowledged when Malik did good work. It was strange, but Malik welcomed the change. That day, Malik was invited to join a new project team focused on improving the company's customer service. It was a big deal because the company wanted to make sure their customers felt valued and respected. Malik was excited. This project was important and gave him a chance to show leadership. But he also felt pressure. He wanted to prove he could handle more responsibility without relying on his family name. During the first meeting, Malik listened carefully to the team members. Everyone had different ideas about how to improve customer service. Some wanted to add new technology, others focused on training employees better. Malik took notes and waited for the right moment. When he spoke, he shared a simple but clear idea: listening to customers more carefully and solving their problems faster. The team liked the idea. It was easy to understand and practical. Malik felt proud but stayed humble. He knew success would come only if everyone worked together. As the project progressed, Malik took time to get to know his teammates better. He asked questions, shared stories, and learned from their experiences. This made the team stronger and more connected. One afternoon, Malik noticed Brad watching the project meeting quietly. After the meeting, Brad came over and said, "You're doing a good job leading the team." Malik was surprised but thanked him. Brad's words felt genuine and Malik felt a little more confident. But Malik didn't forget the hard times. He still remembered the harsh words and the moments when he felt invisible. Those memories kept him grounded and motivated. At the same time, Malik continued to work with the diversity and inclusion group. They planned events, shared stories, and encouraged employees to treat each other with kindness. One event, Malik shared his story openly for the first time. He talked about the struggles he faced with Brad and how he stayed strong. His honesty touched many people, and some came up to thank him for speaking out. Malik realized that sharing his experience wasn't just about him. It was about helping others who might be facing similar challenges in silence. Outside of work, Malik found comfort in quiet moments. He liked to walk in the park near his home, feeling the fresh air and watching people around him. Those walks gave him peace and time to think. One day, while walking, Malik thought about his future. He didn't want to just survive in the company. He wanted to make it a better place. He wanted to lead with kindness, fairness, and respect. That night, Malik wrote in his journal, "I will be a leader who listens, supports, and cares." The next morning, Malik arrived at work feeling ready to take on new challenges. But change was never easy. One day, Brad called Malik into his office. Malik's heart raced, unsure if this would be good or bad. Brad surprised him by saying, "I want to apologize. I've been hard on you and it wasn't fair." Malik blinked in shock. He wasn't sure if Brad was serious. Brad continued, "You've proven yourself. I respect your work and your strength." Malik nodded slowly, accepting the apology. It wasn't easy to forgive, but he wanted to move forward. From that day, Brad's behavior improved even more. He started to support Malik's ideas and even praised him in front of the team. Malik felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The journey had been long and hard, but finally things were changing. One afternoon, Malik's father called him with good news. The company wanted to give Malik a new role with more responsibility. It was a chance to lead a team and help shape the company's future. Malik was excited but nervous. He knew this role would be challenging, but he was ready. He thought about all the moments that brought him here, the hard days, the support from friends, the lessons he learned. Malik smiled and whispered, "I'm ready to lead with heart." As Malik walked into his new office, he felt a deep sense of pride. Not because of his family name, but because of the person he had become. He was ready to face whatever came next, knowing that true strength comes from kindness, patience, and believing in yourself. Malik's new role was a big step. It meant more responsibility and more chances to make a difference. He felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He knew leading a team wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to face the challenge. On his first day as team leader, Malik gathered his new team for a meeting. He looked around the room and saw a group of people with different skills and backgrounds. Some looked confident, others seemed unsure. Malik wanted everyone to feel comfortable and valued. He started the meeting by sharing a simple message. "We are a team. We will support each other and work together to succeed." The team smiled and a few nodded. Malik knew that building trust would take time, but this was the first step. Malik listened to each team member's ideas and concerns. He encouraged open communication, making sure everyone had a chance to speak. This was different from what Malik had experienced before. No shouting, no put-downs, just respect. As days turned into weeks, the team began to work well together. They shared ideas freely and helped each other solve problems. Malik made sure to recognize their hard work and celebrate small successes. One day, the team faced a big challenge. A project deadline was moved up unexpectedly and the pressure was high. Some team members felt stressed and worried. Malik called an emergency meeting. He spoke calmly. "I know this is hard, but we will get through it together. Let's break the work into small parts and support each other." The team agreed and started working in smaller groups. Malik checked in with everyone, offering help and encouragement. Slowly but surely, they made progress. The deadline came and the team delivered the project on time. The leadership praised their work, and Malik felt proud of what they had achieved together. This success wasn't just about meeting a deadline. It was about trust, teamwork, and kindness. Malik also continued his work with the diversity group, pushing for more inclusion in the company. He believed that everyone deserved respect, no matter their background or position. One afternoon, Malik received an invitation from the CEO's office. He felt curious and a bit nervous. When he arrived, he was surprised to see his father waiting. His father smiled warmly. "I've been watching your progress," he said. "You've done more than I expected. I'm proud of you." Malik felt a deep happiness. He realized that his father's support wasn't about the company name, but about recognizing Malik's own strength and hard work. They talked for a long time about leadership, respect, and the future. Malik shared his ideas for making the company better for everyone. His father listened carefully and promised to support those changes. After the meeting, Malik felt a new sense of purpose. He knew his journey wasn't just about personal success, it was about making a difference for others. As the months passed, Malik's team grew stronger. People admired his calm and fair leadership. Malik's story became a quiet inspiration for many employees. One evening, Malik stood by the window of his office, looking out at the city lights. He thought about everything that had happened, the hard days, the moments of doubt, the times he almost gave up. He smiled softly. "I made it through," he whispered, "and I'm just getting started." Malik knew that challenges would come again. But now he had learned the most important lesson. True strength comes from patience, kindness, and believing in yourself. And with that belief, Malik was ready to face whatever the future held, leading with heart and making a difference one step at a time.